Hello, welcome back to Today in Bad Theology. Today in Bad Theology, we look at the bad theology that was espoused by the Fox News Network, surprise, surprise, when their Christmas tree was burned. Now, the burning of the Fox Christmas tree shook this nation to its core, such that most of us probably don't even remember that it happened just a few days ago. But there was some seriously bad theology that was shared in the wake of this, and I want to take a look at that. So we'll get to that in a second. Now, what was the burning of the Fox Christmas tree? All right, the Fox Network set up a very large Christmas tree outside of the Fox News studios in New York City because New York City lacks any famous large outdoor Christmas tree. I guess the one that's at Rockefeller Center it's communist or something, because Rockefeller and communism are synonyms. So they put up this tree starting in 2019, and someone decided to burn it down. I want to be very clear at the very beginning here. I don't condone burning down the Fox News Christmas tree unless there was some sort of really good reason, and none has been given. So this really does strike me as just vandalism. Who got hurt when you did this? Did you really stick it to Fox when you did this? No, somebody who works at Fox, who takes care of the tree, who's just a normal person and who cares about the thing, had to watch their hard work go up in flames. And so I don't think you really accomplished much aside from making some poor person's life miserable. But that's not what the theology here is. I want to look at the theology that Fox News deployed in fighting back against what happened and complaining about what happened, because it's alarming. All right? Now, Fox News personalities have claimed that the burning of this tree was an attack on Christianity, on Christmas, on Hanukkah, and on America. So I want to look at all three of those, because there's a theological claim being made here, and it's upsetting to me as a Christian at Christmas time in America. First, is a Christmas tree a symbol of Christmas? You might say, obviously it is. Others of you might say, well, I don't know. The Christmas tree is not a Christmas symbol in every culture, right? It's primarily a German symbol. In fact, there's a famous story of during the First World War, the first Christmas 1914, during that war, German soldiers approached the Allied lines in the West, carrying a tree with candles on it. And of course the Allies thought, is this some kind of diversion? And then it dawned on somebody, I think that's a German Christmas thing, and it was actually an attempt to have a truce and to celebrate Christmas, a holiday that was celebrated by the Christians who were on both sides in that war. But it wasn't something that was known to the English, right? That was not a common English Christmas tradition. It was a German one. It's a common tradition in the United States because of our large number of German Americans that there are. Anglo-German Americans were the main power structure from the very beginning of the United States. And so, yeah, German traditions got into what we did, and the Christmas tree has become a ubiquitous symbol of Christmas in America, among Christians in America. So is the Christmas tree a Christmas symbol? Yeah. Not everywhere, but most certainly here in this country. And in fact, the Christmas tree is one of the most hotly contested symbols when it comes time to decorate churches for Christmas, right? I've been part of congregations where there's a fight to prevent the Christmas tree going up before Christmas, or there's a compromise struck. We can put it up the third Sunday of Advent because people are dying to have the Christmas tree, but it's not really Christmas yet. So maybe we won't light it, or maybe we won't put the ornaments on it yet. My own congregation here, it's been decided for quite some time that the Christmas trees do not go up until Christmas, and then they stay up all Christmas. but they are Christmas symbols, absolutely, especially in the United States of America. So to say that what happened to the Fox News Christmas tree affects Christianity or is about Christmas, I think is not a terrible reach. Christmas tree symbolizes Christmas. Absolutely. They next claimed that the tree symbolized Hanukkah. Wow. So, no. Christmas trees don't symbolize Hanukkah. They just don't. All right? The Christmas tree, we don't know exactly why it's the symbol around Christmas time, but we're fairly certain it's because in North Europe, at this time of the year, around Christmas, everything's dead except for evergreens, and it's a symbol that life has persisted. And that's how it got to be associated with Christmas, but it's a Christmas symbol. It's not a Hanukkah symbol. Right? Hanukkah's symbols are things like a dreidel or a menorah. And I'm not a Hanukkah expert, but I can tell you there's some serious differences between Christmas and Hanukkah. While they are both festivals that are set around the winter solstice, their points of focus are very different. For Christians, Christmas is the festival of the incarnation. God's second person, the Word, becomes flesh and is born and becomes a human being like you and me and lives in this world. And so Christmas is the celebration of his birth as Jesus of Nazareth. Hanukkah marks an uprising and a miracle that at this uprising, when they were running low on fuel for the lights, God made sure that there would be fuel for the lights. It was a miracle. Very different stories here, right? And I don't even want to do more with Hanukkah than what I just did, which is only a thumbnail, because I'm not a Hanukkah expert, right? But I know enough to say a Christmas tree does not symbolize Hanukkah, all right? And I don't think the folks at Fox News were just being lazy. I think they really do think that it means Hanukkah. Or they know that people who are watching think that it's associated with Hanukkah. The third claim, the Christmas tree symbolizes America. I'm not sure how that's supposed to work, all right? The Christmas tree is a very American Christmas symbol, all right? It's used in other cultures, but it is something you can expect to see everywhere in America at Christmas. Does it really symbolize America? I mean, I think of like the U.S. flag, bald eagle, blowing stuff up on the 4th of July. I don't know. Christmas tree is not where I would go with that. But, and this is where the theology is especially appalling, because it's so hard to notice it. This is not that much of a stretch for a lot of people watching Fox News, right? The folks at Fox News don't have a whole lot of original ideas, because the Fox News business plan is to tell their viewers things that they're already thinking and reinforce them for the sake of making ad revenue or getting revenue from the cable contracts that they have. The station is watched so much, so a cable company can charge a great deal for providing it. That's the whole point of what Fox News does, is simply to reinforce what the viewers already think about reality, so that they will be mobilized to want to vote a certain way, and so that revenues will continue to come in for those who run the show. So they're not going to tell you something that they've just come up with, because that might not work. You might disagree. They're going to tell you things that you already think. And a lot of Americans already kind of think of Hanukkah, Christmas, and America as all wrapped up in one thing, and that's the bad theology here. Like I said, Hanukkah is about an uprising against an unjust invader. While Americans might say, well, we can remember our own revolution, it's so not the same as what Hanukkah's about. Christmas is about the birth of the Messiah, God himself, God's self becoming a human being. There's really not a American story like that, except, of course, those who think that Ronald Reagan or Donald Trump were God, and probably actually is a very American story now that I think of it. Those things just don't fit together if you look at them for what they stand for, but in the minds of many Americans, they do. Combining Christmas, Hanukkah, and America robs those things of their individual meaning, right? Any chance of saying America is a place for religious freedom and freedom of religious expression becomes constrained. Freedom of religious expression, as long as you're Christian or Jewish, will allow Jews to have this one. Where do other religions fit in? America, freedom of religion is supposed to apply to religions, not just one or two. All right, it's supposed to apply to all of them. But by making it be just about Christmas and Hanukkah, we've made it clear which ones are acceptable. So we rob American religious freedom of its meaning by making it narrow. We rob Hanukkah of its meaning, and I'm not a Hanukkah person, so I can't really tell you the whole great deal about it, but as a Christian, I can tell you, you rob Christmas of its meaning, right? The meaning of Christmas in the Christian tradition is not all about a frenzy of purchasing presents and expectations spent in the month of December leading up to Christmas Eve so that on Christmas morning you can celebrate all the junk that you've obtained. That's simply not what the Christmas message is about. The Christmas message is that God becomes a human being. That the waiting that we do in this world for God to show up in a big way, well, that waiting is not in vain, but that God doesn't show up in that big way. God shows up in a very little and very normal way. Childbirth. Childbirth happens all the damn time. God's there. We rob the story of its meaning when we lump it in with other religions and with other countries. Christians around the world celebrate Christmas. And yeah, a Christmas tree is a very American Christian thing, and a German Christian thing. But by conflating Christmas, Hanukkah, and America, we've kind of blinded ourselves to Christmas celebrations that will be going on all around the world in just a few days. It's people in many different cultures and who have many different understandings of America are celebrating the birth of God as a human being. This claim that God becomes one of us gets crowded out when we blend it together with these other things. And it makes it just sort of sound like whatever America values is what God values. And that's so opposite of Christmas because Jesus is born into an empire that tells you what to think, that tells you what matters, that tells you that it's got everything figured out. And he will spend his entire career pointing out that the empire and his own people who are collaborating with them are absolutely full of it. Christianity must not be blended with any state. The first Christians, Christ himself, would be appalled to find out that it has become a national holiday wrapped up in the nation's own way of doing things, and not really just a celebration of God's arrival beyond any state or way of doing things. That's it for this go-round. Stay tuned this week. Be on the lookout for us. We will be unveiling your theologically bad decorations as my Christmas present to you. A safe holiday. We'll see you next time.